What's up, and welcome back to the Ramble On Podcast. It is the home of your 5-17, 1-8 in the A10, last place in the A10, Loyola Chicago Ramblers. My name is Zach Coe, and I am joined, as always, by my five-star co-host, George Gabra. George, as we were discussing before I hit the record button here, the boots on the ground boost is completely meaningless. The Ramblers are 0-2, dropped 8 in a row now, and I think if this isn't rock bottom, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it was fun being there, fun environment. My parents were in town. I think they had a good time. They'd never been to Gentile before, so would have been nice if they could have seen a win. But with the state of this basketball team, that was going to be a very tough and tall order for Loyola to get a win there. And I mean, it's just very disappointing. We had that game against Duquesne where at least we were formidable and we fought and we were in it pretty much until the last few minutes there. And then the St. Joe's game, we just got our doors blown off. Just an embarrassing effort, embarrassing performance, down 27 at halftime. So 2 more losses to discuss. We've lost 8 in a row now. You just said it. And you just said we are dead last in the A10. And not only are we in dead last, but even if we win a game, we're only going to be game or a half game because we're currently a game and a half behind second to last place. So things are not going well at all. Fordham is 2-6. We're 1-8. So that's not good and not where you want to be. It's been very, very disappointing. And at this point, I don't think it's going to be getting any better. And we're just going to have to ride this thing out because this team is not good. They've shown time and time again they're not good. And I've got a bad feeling on Friday night against VCU that we might get killed, or not might. I think we are going to get killed. We'll get into that a little later, but it's just been bad, not good, frustrating, disappointing, and that's the 2025-26 Loyola Ramblers for you.
Yeah, just quickly, because I think we might get a line before we're done recording here on this one for the VCU game. Whose line is it anyways?
I already saw
it.
Oh,
you know it?
Yeah,
okay.
I put it in
I'll play it. 2.5.
20.5.
Yep, that's my guess.
As long as it hasn't changed in the last hour or so, you're pretty close. 19.5. Yep, still okay, 19.5. And they this is only on ESPN, and they've got the odds by DraftKings. That's where I'm looking, and the money line is not available, so you cannot bet on them to win. DraftKings thinks that they do not have a chance to win this game. They don't want VCU to just be a free bet. That's what they're saying. So not good.
Yeah, the way I came to that conclusion was I figured that we were like 15.5 point dogs at Dayton, and I figured that at VCU, Dayton would be like 5.5 point dogs, 6 point dogs. So yeah. I kind of went based on that. So
good guess.
We'll get to the Rams shortly. We got 2 games to break down. We'll start with that game. Like I said, the boots on the ground boost was meaningless. I can't believe your parents had never been to Gentile before.
Yeah, they haven't. I think they've been there for, they've been in it for like graduation stuff and other things, but never to a basketball game. So that was their first time being there for a basketball game. My sister was there too. And I have to say, unfortunately, both my mom and my sister seem to be more interested in their cell phones and talking amongst themselves instead of watching the game. But they were cheering at some points when they were cheering
things
points.
To cheer about. The few
which
times.
Weren't many, but
Yeah, very. I would be more interested in my cell phone too if I were them than that abomination. But let's get into that one. A 71-59 win for the Dukes. Xavier Amos leading the way with 12 points, 10 rebounds for Miles Rubin, 5 assists for Daywilk Tavares. We got a little bit of injury news on this one. Cade Dotson and Kamani Winsu both listed as questionable. Neither would go. Also, Chuck Love continues to be hurt. That would remain the case against St. Joe's, and it sounded like they're talking about maybe just shutting him down for the rest of the season based on the way Drew was talking post-game. Justin Moore out for this Duquesne game. Obviously, he makes his return for the St. Joe's game, but we'll get to that one. It's something that we talked about on the last episode, but without those 4 guys specifically, there just isn't somebody who can handle the basketball at a consistent rate. besides Caleb Reese, and it's like we said on the last episode again, like they're effectively playing 5-on-4 when he's on the court on offense. He's not a shooting threat, and he's too small to get to the basket at a consistent enough pace and finish at the rim when he needs to. So that's unfortunate. I mean, credit to him. He's out there. He's one of the few guys that actually looks like he cares. So yeah, like I said, credit to him, but it's just he can only do so much, and in this one, he got in a whole lot of foul trouble, picked up 3 in the first half, and then picked up his 4th 2 minutes into the second half. So part of that is not playing smart, but again, it's hard for me to sit here and bitch about the 12th guy on the bench, 10th guy on the bench. Like, it's just the state of the circumstances. It's really unfortunate we find ourselves in this place, but you were there, you had boots on the ground. What did you see from this one?
Well, it seemed like they were down between 4 and 8 points pretty much the entire game, and they just weren't able to get over that hump. They'd get it to within 2 or 3 points. They get it to within 1 possession, and then Duquesne would go right back down the floor and end the run, either hit a 3 or hit a couple 2s in a row, and it'd get right back up to 6 or 7. So I didn't even mean to do that, but 6-7. Didn't even get up to 6-7. It's anytime I say that now, I'm like a 15-year-old kid. It's just in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, 6-7.
Oh. Well, it's okay. I was listening to a Red Sox podcast the other day, and this 70-plus-year-old beat reporter did it and then did the hand thing, and it was like, all right, well, this meme is truly dead if it's reached from us all the way to Sean McAdam at whatever his age is.
Oh, that's good. But yeah, they were just in that zone where they just couldn't quite get over the hump. Caleb Reese, he's a guy who was a walk-on. I'm pretty sure he was able to get a full scholarship this year because he played so well last year when he got his minutes. And this year, again, he shows a lot of heart, he shows a lot of fight, but being 5'11", and just not a shooting threat, like you said, it's tough to win basketball games when he's really the only guy who can handle the ball for you. And Duquesne, when it came down to winning the game and Loyola needing to go on a run to either tie it, take the lead in the last few minutes in crunch time, they weren't able to. Duquesne was able to get on a run here, kind of put the game out of reach. Terrence Ginyard, we talked about him in the preview. He made 4 huge threes down the stretch in just a handful of minutes. It just, boom, 3, down the court, 3, down the court, 3. He couldn't miss, and that buried us, and that was pretty much the game right there. 71-59. I did think that the effort was better in this one. I thought that guys were hustling after loose balls. I thought the rebounding effort was there. We lost in the rebounding category, the assist category, and the turnover category, all by just 1. The thing that killed us here was another lackluster performance from beyond the arc. Just 5 of 26, which is 19%. Duquesne, on the other hand, 10 of 28 for 38%. And I just mentioned it, Ginyard and the other guy, I'm blanking on his name, Jimmy Williams, he had another 3 too late. And Ginyard and Williams, the 2 guys we highlighted, went 9 for 15. And when your 2 best players are going to do that, and we're missing 4 of our best players, and we go a combined 5 of 26 from 3, that's going to be the difference. Good fight, but at the end of the day, it's just a game that unless we played perfect, we weren't going to win. We didn't play perfect, and that's why we ended up losing by double digits.
Yeah, and I the face I just made, if you're watching on the YouTube, shameless plug to the YouTube, Enter and Kenmore, we're working on a name change there, but who knows when that is going to come to fruition. But I was looking up some stats here. Duquesne hits 38% of their threes, 10 for 26 from the arc. If you had to guess, where do the Ramblers rank in defensive three-point percentage in the entire country?
It's out of 365. I'll go 352nd.
Very close. Very close. I can't believe you got that close. Wow. 359.
Ah, okay. Man, I was giving them a little too much credit.
Yeah, way too much credit. Opponents are hitting their threes at a 38.2% clip against your Ramblers. Just not going to cut it. And obviously, like I said, 38% from Duquesne in this one. I don't have the St. Joe stats in front of me right now because we haven't started talking about that game, but it felt like they were just absolutely lights out from 3 in that one. Let me see how quickly I can pull this up. They shot 42% from 3, St. Joe's did. So that was, like you said, just...
Yeah, that reminded me of that game that we played last year in Philadelphia when we played at St. Joe's. It was a similar beatdown, and St. Joe's, just especially Reynolds and Brown, they just could not miss from 3, and that was the case in that game too. So We like to
unfortunately
give up the three.
Fortunately, a little bit of a talent discrepancy between last year's St. Joe's team and this one. Mm-hmm. So,
yep.
It's a little bit more, I don't want to call it impressive, but impressively bad, I guess, to allow that team to be that lights out from three this year. But we'll get back to this Duquesne game. For the most part, I think I agree with you. It felt like it was message sent, message received with Drew calling out the team. But Josh Joseph, and it's something that you said when we were talking beforehand, that you can really tell when you're there watching him that he really just camps out beyond the arc. And he did have 3 offensive boards in this one, but he was a scorching hot 0 for 5 from beyond the arc against Duquesne. And it's so frustrating watching him play. And it's like, after getting called out by the head coach, you would think like, okay, maybe he's not just going to camp outside beyond the arc and just let her bark from 3. But no, 5 of them, and he's just letting it rip. And I understand that, like, the offense is built to give these guys the freedom to play within themselves. That is not playing within yourself if you're 0 for 5. You're not, who was it James Harden that was like, if I'm 0 for 40 from 3, I'm going to keep letting it bark because that means I lost confidence in myself or something like that.
I think so, yeah. I believe it was him, or maybe it was Lillard or Paul George, one of those guys.
Yeah. Josh Joseph is not one of those guys that can just keep letting it bark from beyond the arc. It's just, like, that is not his game. It's something that Drew's called out multiple times. That wasn't his first time calling out JOJ to stop playing like a lapdog, to start playing like the reason why we got him in. Like, was it him or Amos that I compared to Ahir Ugwak before the season?
I don't remember.
I guess then my point doesn't make sense if it's not JOJ. I want to say it was Amos, actually, because I think Ugwak's a little smaller than Jay. Well, not think. I know for a fact that Ugwak was a little smaller weight-wise than JOJ, so I won't make that point, but he was expected to have a similar type of slashing big man impact, and I think really both of them were, and we'll get into Xavier Amos, who shot a cool 20% from the field here, got 7 of his 12 points at the free throw line, but it's not enough of a consistent offensive threat, and it's kind of something that we talked about before conference play during that initial 7-game losing streak, that they just let it bark from 3. And it's not just JOJ. Xavier Amos, 1 for 6 from 3. Nick Anderson, 1 for 4 from 3. We talked about it on the last episode. Daywilk Tavares, he's going to fucking let it bark no matter what. He's 1 for 5 from 3. As a team, they're 5 for 26 from 3. 19%. It's just and I don't want to keep talking shit about Drew's comment, but it's just like, talk about the worst take of all time is I think this is the best 3-point shooting team I've had in my time at Loyola. Like, they are not anywhere close, and I understand that that's how the team was built, and that's what he was expecting them to do, but the shot selection is awful, and the shot-making ability is also awful.
Yeah, it seems like any time Joseph, we were talking about this before we recorded too, where he's just standing in the corner, he's not trying to cut to the basket, he's not trying to do anything but just stand behind the 3-point line like he's waving to his mom in the stands with his hands up, waiting for the ball. And we've said it a bunch of times where Drew said this was his best 3-point shooting team. That clearly has not been the case this year. These guys just don't have it from 3. They're not a great 3-point shooting team. And when you pride yourself on the 3, like I think a lot of these guys do, and you're not very good at it, and you shoot as many as they do, and they don't go in, you're just not going to win very many basketball games. And when it's time to find different avenues to put the ball in the hoop, they're not very good at that either. So
no, and it was I looked it up. It was Kobe that said that he said I would go 0 for 30 before I would go 0 for 9. 0 for 9 means you beat yourself. You psyched yourself out of the game. The only reason is because you've now lost confidence in yourself. Joshua Joseph, you are not Kobe Bryant. I'm not going to make that joke. But yeah, JOJ, you are not Kobe, and it, to your point, like, you shoot yourself out of games here. You go 5 for 26 and you keep insisting on being a 3-point shooting team, but then you also can't get to the basket when you have Caleb Reese as your primary ball handler, and at a certain point, Miles Rubin can only do so much, and he is doing so much. Like, he didn't really light up the scoreboard on this one, only 7 points, but 10 rebounds, 4 assists. Like, he's finding ways to impact the game on not just putting the ball in the basket, which is, like, nice to see him take a step forward in that regard. I feel like he's become much more of a prolific rebounder in years past. Maybe he's just been so good offensively and blocking shots that I never realized the rebounding, but it feels like he's taking a step forward there. So obviously that's nice to see from your marquee player. But aside from that, he's not getting any help right now. And Nick Anderson has been good, but not great. Like, he's a freshman, and again, like, we harp on it and Drew's harped on it, like, putting that much pressure on freshmen like Nick Anderson, freshmen like Chuck Love, like, it's just not putting them in the best position possible to succeed, which sucks. But he's stepped up fairly admirably. Xavier Amos, again, the field goal percentage doesn't look good, but 12 points against Duquesne. He's been efficient at the free throw line, which, like, for as much as we've bitched about the free throw making ability of this team, like, I'm not going to complain about a guy going 7 for 8 at the free throw line. Even that doesn't count for whatever percentage 7 of 12 is. I'm not going to Zach versus math. I've already lost that one, so I'm not gonna bother doing that. But it's just tough when all of your ball handlers are playing, and as we learned on Tuesday, it's tough when all of your ball handlers are playing too, because that was an absolute abomination as well.
It was. The free throws, Amos, he was just 2 for 10 from the field, but was able to put some free throws in. And also, speaking of free throws, I don't know if you saw this in the game, but it was a free throw towards the end of the half. I'm guessing you did, but it was Miles Rubin. He just completely airballed the front end of a 1-and-1. And then he comes over on the other side, and I'm telling my dad, yeah, look how much arc he puts on the ball. And he's like, yeah, maybe he should switch it up, because if you're going to airball, maybe that's not the right way to go. But yeah, just a brutal game all the way around. Not as brutal as I guess Tuesday was, but brutal in the sense of you thought you had a chance to win even with 4 of your best players on the bench with injuries. And when it came down to making plays at the end of the game and trying to fight back and win a game you had been losing for the most part, and they just weren't able to do it. So it was unfortunate, but again, that's kind of what this season has been about. A lot of unfortunate plays, a lot of unfortunate games, a lot of unfortunate outcomes, and this is just another in the long line of what has been a bad season so far for Loyola.
Yeah, and just my last point on this Duquesne game before we move on to the St. Joe's, I thought for a large part of the first half, they did a good job doing what we talked about their recipe for success would be in this one, and that was slowing a fast-paced team down and kind of getting them to play your style of basketball. And for the most part, they did that up until things kind of broke open for them in the second half of the second half. But they just weren't able to score at a consistent enough pace, even though they were getting them to play their game. So it's just, I just don't know where we go from here. I mean, you only score 28 points and a half. Like, not that 34 is some massive number to be putting up, especially when we go to the St. Joe's game and you give up 51 in the first half. But it's just the offense isn't good enough. The defense has been, I thought, a little bit better up until this St. Joe's game, and then that became an abomination again. It's just, like I said in the open, if this isn't rock bottom, I don't know what is. It doesn't feel like it can get any worse, but like I think we're all, like, I saw people on Tuesday being like, can we just forfeit the St. Louis game? We're gonna lose that game by 50 points, and it doesn't matter because we're all expecting it. It feels like we're at rock bottom here, and I would love to know what happened in that Santa Clara game, because we were all feeling good about ourselves. We were like, all right, this could be a turning point. Like, Drew's teams have historically gotten better as the season rolls on, as you get into conference play. Like, maybe that's going to be the case again. I said it on the last episode. People were like, Loyola's going to win like 12, 13 games and ruin some team seasons. No, they are not. So yeah, it's just unfortunate. I don't know if you have anything else on this Duquesne game, but we can move into the St. Joe's game.
I do not. Bad loss. I thought, again, they showed a lot more fight than they had, and I guess you kind of have to do that when your coach calls you out publicly. Didn't wind up mattering. Just this team doesn't have the talent we thought, and the injuries are there. That has obviously not helped either, so it's just a bummer. Tough loss.
Yeah, very tough. Let's get into the St. Joe's game. If you want to talk about a tough loss, this one right here, 85-64. And the score was a lot closer than the actual game was out there. JOJ led the team with 13 points. Another 10 rebound performance out of Miles Rubin. He led the way there. And he also led the way with 4 assists. I just don't know, like I said, like if this week hasn't been rock bottom, then I don't know what was. That first half I watched at work. I'm sitting in the back in the video room running the Twitch stream for our show, watching the game on, I sent you the picture of it, the Michael Scott plasma TV up in the corner, yep. So I couldn't really see it. I mean, obviously I couldn't really see it that well because it's about yay big and pretty far away in the corner of the room. So I ended up switching to my computer to get a better look. And the kid I'm working with comes in and he looks up at the TV and goes, "Why are you even watching this anymore?" And I'm like, "Buddy, we got a show to do." And he was like, "How are you doing a show about this?" I was like, every week we just get on here and we're like, yeah, like it can't possibly get worse, can it? And then it does. Yeah. And then it does. And he was like, well, how does it get worse? And I was giving him the whole backstory of Drew calling out the players. He was like, he went to Fitchburg State, so obviously not a D1 program.
Okay.
And so he doesn't really understand. And like he was like, at first, like he was like, "Why do you care about Loyola Chicago basketball?" I was like, "You watch your fucking mouth, buddy." And like he didn't really, he's not a hoops guy, he's a baseball guy, so it wasn't, I had to explain to him everything, but that's besides the point. Yeah, he comes in, he's like, "Why are you even watching this?" So 51-24 first half. St. Joe's shoots 60% from three in that first half, 6 of 10. You shoot 3 of 15, only 20% there. 9 for 34 from the field. St. Joe's shoots, they took 33 shots in the first half. Yeah, they shot 67% in the first half. It just, yeah, it was maybe the worst half I've seen all season, which is really saying something because this is a team that was down double digits to Mercyhurst and Chicago State.
Yeah, it was horrible. It reminded me a lot of that George Washington first half where they let the Revolutionaries get on a 22-0 run a couple 2.5 weeks ago in that game. And despite getting Dotson, Moore, and Huinsu back, we just got our absolute butts kicked. We got our teeth kicked in. We got boat race, whatever metaphor you want to use for a team killing another team. That is what happened to us. Credit to the Hawks. They had a really good game, but it was just embarrassing. I mean, just embarrassing. You wind up making it a little closer, 85-64 final score. It was not that close. They should have lost by more than that. So I guess credit for showing a little fight there at the end, but still, it was just an embarrassing performance. St. Joe's nearly doubled us up from threes made. They hit, they doubled us up on assists, 25-13, or nearly doubled us up on assists at 25-13. They were shooting the lights out. We're a terrible team defending the three, and that was evident here again. They shot 42%. We shot 30%. 56% from the field for St. Joe's, just 35% for us. And even though we had 11 more free throws, that obviously did not matter. So just a terrible game, a terrible performance. This one, if you had any wind left in your sails, I think this might have taken the last wind here. Enough holes may have been poked in those sails where you're no longer sailing because this was just ugly.
Yeah, it was awful. They shot, like I said earlier, 42% from beyond the arc. You actually win the second half, which, like you said, credit to them for at least showing a little bit of heart there and winning a half after getting your absolute doors blown off in the first half. But I thought the story of this one was the paint. You got absolutely dominated down low. In this one, pause. Part of the points in the paint were the first 5 minutes of the game. It felt like the lazy passes, just like you couldn't get the ball across court without turning it over. Whether it was Moore, whether it was Dotson, whoever was handling the ball, it just felt like lazy passes leading to turnovers. It felt like every time you would look up, you'd see St. Joe's on a breakaway dunk. Like, that's how it went in the first half. They had 10 points off of turnovers in the first, and 6 of them came in the first 5 minutes of the basketball game. You have 6 turnovers in the half. It's not winning basketball. And once again, like I said, you shoot 3 for 15 from 3, 20%, while they're shooting 60%, you're shooting yourself out of games. And I think a lot of us put a lot of heavy expectations on Justin Moore, on Cade Dotson, on these guys coming back from injury, which isn't fair to them because they missed, the better part of the month of January? When was the last time we saw these guys? Rhode Island?
Yeah, I think Dotson got hurt in the Davidson game.
Yeah, and then...
And Moore was out
has been...
Yeah, he's been in and out, and...
Yeah, who's been questionable in every single game. So it was an unfair expectation to be placed on these guys to come in and be the saviors, but that's just kind of where we were at. Obviously, the rust showed. Justin Moore, 2 for 10 from the field, only 6 points. I thought Cade Dotson he showed his ball handling prowess, and I don't know if maybe that was just I was so locked in on watching Caleb Reese handling the ball for all these games that I was like, oh my god, somebody who can actually handle the ball at a D1 level. I thought the ball movement and the movement on offense was a lot better with these guys back, but ultimately you just weren't able to put the ball in the basket at a consistent enough pace, which is a theme for this team. And once again, Daewolf Tavares, 2 for 8 from 3. He does score his 1,000th Division I collegiate point, so credit to him for that. But when you shoot at that kind of volume, I'd be pretty surprised if you weren't reaching 1,000 points. It's just, like I said, I don't have too much on this one. Miles Rubin, 3 for 11 from the field. I thought he missed a lot of bunnies, 10 rebounds, and it felt like there was a lot of times where he would grab an offensive board and then blow the layup trying to get a second chance point. So, yeah, just an unfortunate game.
Yeah, again, I don't have too much to say on it myself. I think we covered it. Just an embarrassment, a bad game, and kind of encapsulates what we've seen from this Loyola team for much of the year. And that's just the team they are this year. They're bad, and teams are going to have bad years. I was hoping we wouldn't have one that was going to be this bad. Neither of us saw this coming. Obviously, we both picked them, I believe, again, 27-4, winning the A10, going to the tournament. That's not going to happen. They will not be going to the tournament, even though I know they're still technically mathematically alive because you can win the conference and whatever, but I can pretty much guarantee you this team is not winning the conference.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you think they're gonna win the A10 tournament, I got a bridge to sell you.
Yeah, it's just bad and pathetic, and I don't have anything else. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, I get we can move on from this one. It's they moved on from this one at halftime. I moved on from it at halftime. It was maybe the worst game I've ever seen this team play. The only contenders are also from this season, I think, against Mercyhurst and Chicago State, and that's I think those probably have the edge just because of the opponent. Which congratulations to, I think it was Mercyhurst.
Yep, on Sunday.
Beat Chicago State. Yeah, they won the beat Loyola Bowl, so they will be taking our place in the A10, and we will be taking their place in the Northeast Conference. Maybe that competition, although we are 0-2 against the NEC this year, so maybe that competition is too good for us.
Chicago State
at this point.
Yeah, Chicago State has 2 wins, and one of them was against some St. Francis, Illinois Division III. Their only Division I win is against us. There you go. That's the 2025-26 Loyola Chicago Ramblers for you.
That is unfucking real. What a stat. They only have one Division I win, and it's you. That is, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Ken Palm, 358, 2-19, and the net doesn't even recognize the D3, so they're 1-19 in the net. That is, Jesus Christ, man. Honestly, so for me, these 2 games, kind of, I have been going back and forth on the Drew and the job security stuff, and I don't think they're going to fire him. I'll preface it by saying that.
I also don't think they're going to.
I think that a change is needed at this point. Like, there is no coming back from losing a half by 30 points to a conference rival. There is no coming back from going 0-2 against the NEC. There was, when we first had this conversation, there was, okay, maybe we can turn it around in conference play. Maybe guys will look motivated. Maybe something will click where it's like, oh fuck, like we got to play for something here. But no, and it's the theme that we've been talking about for the entirety of the season, that this is just aside from a handful of guys, I named them on the last episode, and I don't even think Nick Anderson and Chuck Love count because they're not NIL guys in the transfer portal sense. But Miles Rubin, Cade Dotson, and Justin Moore. Those are the 3. Everyone else on the roster got their bag, and doesn't give a shit, clearly. Like, the lackluster defense, nobody cares. And I'll include Xavier Amos in that group, too. I just don't think we've seen enough from him to put him in the category of he got his bag and is now complacent, but I reserve the right to put him in that category as we see him simply play more basketball. But he's been fairly encouraging. I just don't know where you go from here. Like, there isn't a way to bounce back from that. And at this point, we're going to be looking at massive roster turnover for next season. So at this point, I just think that needs to come with a new direction, because now we're looking at no tournament appearances since 2021, and that team was Porter's team. So at that point, we've had some regular season success, winning the regular season A10 title, and you blow it in the postseason. Like, aside from the one NIT run, which, like, it was fun last year that we were still playing basketball and we were still winning games, like, the success, just the postseason success specifically, just hasn't been there. And I'm sure we sound like spoiled brats being like, oh, well, we haven't been to a tournament since 2021, but that's the standard that was set now. That's the standard that you set for yourselves by committing the type of money that you're committing to this program, by going to a Final Four, by going to another Sweet 16, and then saying, you know what, we're going to take a step up. We're going to go to the A10. Like, we want to be a legitimate mid-major powerhouse in college basketball. This is the standard that you've placed on yourself, and now when you're not reaching that standard, like, the fans are right to be calling for changes to be made. Whether or not Steve Watson has the balls to do it, we'll see. We both just said we don't think that they're going to move on from him, but I think the time has come where a change is needed. It sucks because I like Drew. He seems like a genuine guy. Like I said on the last episode, he cares. Like, no matter what you say about him, you can't say he doesn't care. So it sucks, and I hate to talk about people losing their jobs. Like I said when we had the initial discussion, when I don't know what the solution is, when I don't have a guy to say, like, okay, we're going to fire Drew and we're going to hire insert coach X or coach Y. Like, I don't have that answer, but I do know that what we have right now isn't working. And at a certain point, I know I said I put a lot of the blame on the players. Like, at a certain point, who picks the players? Like, these are the guys, like, and I texted you that I wanted to talk about this, and I bookmarked it so I can give whoever it was that tweeted this proper credit. But whatever happened to recruiting championship level players, guys who have won at all levels? We don't have that. We have JOJ, who's on his third school in as many years, and he was at Minnesota and Cal, two historically loser programs. We have Xavier Amos, who got a cup of coffee in the tournament last year at Wisconsin. But then, aside from that, who is there that has championship-level experience? Daewalt Tavares, he comes from Charleston. They had some success, but have they ever had really sustained tournament success? No. Dominic Harris, we said it. He's on his fourth school in however many years. The only school that he's at that is successful is Gonzaga, and he spent 2 seasons there where he barely played. So
couldn't have said it better myself. I think a change is needed. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they'll give him another year to try and figure it out, and then if it doesn't go well next year, then I think it would definitely happen. But it's just, the guys that they got out of the portal turned out to pretty much all be duds. And when you do that in this day and age of NIL and the transfer portal of college sports, you're going to have a lousy, shitty team. And that's what Loyola is this year. They got a bunch of duds. There's no other way to say it. These guys don't have it. They're not it. They were never it. And we thought they were going to be good, and they aren't. And that's just unfortunate. One thing I think I texted you this. I know I told my roommates this the other day, but I was saying, well, you look at Oklahoma, they've had a lot of heartbreaking losses. By the way, I don't know if you saw that game real quick, that Oklahoma-Missouri game, but that was brutal. They were up 3. Missouri hits a shot at the buzzer from almost half court to send it to overtime. Then they're up 2 in overtime, and the guy hits a 3 to beat him at the buzzer. Both like real, true zeros on the clock buzzer beaters. So tough for Porter and company there. But Oklahoma, I mean, they're 1-7. They have not had the success they were hoping for under Porter. They've only been to 1 tournament since he's been there, and it was last year, barely getting in on the bubble. So, I don't know. I've been daydreaming about maybe making the switch from Drew, and Porter's out of a job, and he's coming home. But, that's obviously almost certainly not going to happen. But just something that crossed my mind, because Oklahoma is obviously not as equally as bad as us, but they are one of, if not the worst teams in the SEC this year.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact stat, because I was definitely on board with you there. But the the numbers that people keep tweeting, because obviously I feel like there's a pretty large contingent of Loyola fans that don't want Porter back. They think that retread coaches don't work. Obviously, we can see that in Rhode Island.
Yeah, I would disagree with those people.
Let me see if I can find the exact number. But Porter's record in conference play without Cam Krutwig is fucking awful. Oh, here it is. His entire stretch of success centers around one man, Cam Krutwig. With Krutwig, Porter Moser is 99-36, and without, he is 279-274. So that does give me some pause in beating the bring back Porter drum. Like, I know nostalgia, and it would make sense if they're both out of a job, but I do wonder what it looks like without like a generational, like no disrespect to Jerry Harkness or any of those older guys, but without the greatest player in program history, I do wonder what it looks like for Porter. But again, I said I don't know what the answer is. I don't have any names in mind, and thankfully that's not my job. But yeah. I do have a little bit of hesitation in saying, like, oh, just bring back Porter, because it seems like that's kind of the lazy route for schools to take, and it almost always backfires.
Yeah, I'm disagreeing with you there. I would love to welcome him back. I think he'd be fantastic. Could also go out and look at the likes of Tommy Lloyd, maybe Kelvin Sampson. I wouldn't say no to Mark Few, to Dusty May. Those guys would also be good. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. We've still got games to play here. I think we're halfway through conference play. We're 1-8, won the first one, lost the next 8, and got half the conference play left to go. And we'll see what kind of fight these guys have, because it'd be real easy at this point to just roll over and die. And if you do that, then what are you saying about yourselves? What are you saying about the program? What are you saying about the university? You got to go out there and show some fight, and I'm hoping we at least see that. Because we're probably not going to win very many games. If another game, I don't think we're going to win another game, to be honest.
No, I don't
either. With how bad we've been. But you at least got to go out there and show some toughness and show some fight and show what it's like to be a Rambler. Because if you don't do that, then what's the point?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there. And at some point, like, they're going to win another game. Like, they're going to have a game where they get hot or something. It's hard for me to say that they're going to. Like, I think they're going to, but I also don't think they're going to, if that makes sense. I think they'll probably fall ass backwards into another win. I actually did think of somebody that I had been kicking around in my head that I would be interested in as a potential Drew Valentine replacement if they do go that route. It looks like Providence is on the way towards moving on from Kim English. That's a name I would be interested in bringing on board. Obviously has A-10 experience at George Mason. It seems like he kind of just took a step up that was a little bit too big for his britches, on top of the fact that he was taking over for what was probably the most successful head coach in Providence history. I'm not too well versed in the Providence hoops history, so I'd have to go back.
I would venture to guess it's Cooley, but yeah.
Yeah, and obviously all the situation with him leaving and everything going to Georgetown, it was a tough situation for him to be in. But if he's gonna get fired in Providence, I can't imagine that he's gonna be taking a step up or anything like that. That's a name that I would be pretty hard pressed to have anybody above, unless it was somebody like, spacing on his name, the Belmont head coach, or when we initially had that conversation, is it Ryan Pedon, the Illinois State head coach?
Yeah. Shirts, but I don't think he's going anywhere unless it's to a power job. So.
And I saw some people speculating that even power jobs wouldn't be enough to get him to jump ship. Obviously, money talks, so we'll see how that. Money talks. So I'm sure, like, once someone throws a big shiny $7 million contract in front of your face, it gets a little bit different. And like a $15-20 million roster guarantee. I'm sure that changes things.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see how the coaching carousel shakes out. Obviously, like you said, we still have 2 months of basketball to be played before we even get to the tournament, and so long way to go there. Starting with tomorrow night at VCU on Friday 10 on ESPN2. Rams come into this one as a 19.5 point favorite. Total set at 152.5. What do we got on the Rams?
Well, I said during the first game that we had with Dayton that the Flyers were the class of the A-10, and I think that you and I both agree now that that has kind of shifted to VCU at this point, and St. Louis is certainly up there in the top tier, especially this year, and they're looks like they're going to be there for years to come. But VCU, they've always got a good team. Every single season, they enter this game 15-6, 6-2 in conference play. They've done a great job maintaining their competitiveness, even under a first-year head coach in Phil Martelli. They lost two of their best players, too, last year from the team that went to the tournament. Joe Bamasil and Max Scholga, two of the best players not only for VCU, but in the entire conference. They moved on, and they've definitely taken a little bit of a step back, but they're certainly still right up there with one of the best teams in the A-10. They come into this game 49th in the net, which is second best in the conference, trailing only the Billikens of St. Louis. 46th in KenPom, an offensive rating of 36th, and a defensive rating of 88th in KenPom. True sophomore Terrence Hill Jr. has really stepped up. He's filled a bigger role for this VCU team, averaging 14.4 points per game, which leads the team, and he's shooting 39% from three. Transfer forward Lazar Djokovic, he's had a fantastic season as well. He's averaging 13.7 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, and he's also stroked it very well from deep, shooting 39.4%. This is a very, very good three-point shooting team, and we were just saying how terrible we are against defending the three, so we'll see what happens because we obviously can't defend the three, and the Rams shoot 36.5%. That is 49th in the country. They are also 49th in the amount of points they get from the three, so they're going to let it fly from the arc, and that's a weakness we have, so strength on weakness. One of the many reasons why the Rams are favored by 19.5 and the money line isn't even available right now. Obviously, in the last two games, the disparity from three has killed us, so just something to look out for in this game. We got to defend the perimeter here to have a chance at pulling the upset, and I don't think that's going to happen just because we haven't done it all season long. I think we got to get hot from three ourselves, something we haven't done all season long, and we'll see what happens in this one, but I do not have a good feeling about this game.
Yeah, like you said, the class of the A-10 in VCU, and I was curious about this because I started thinking about it, we obviously just had that conversation about the coach. Talk about a team that absolutely nails their hires every single time they have one. Obviously, this isn't firing coaches, this is guys moving up, but they go from, this is starting in 2002, Jeff Capel, who went 79-41 at VCU. They were still in the Colonial at that point. Then to Anthony Grant, who obviously is at Dayton now, but 76-25 in 3 seasons. Shaka, 163-56
and
to
a Final
Will Wade.
Four in Pirates.
Yeah, to Will Wade, who goes 51-20. To Mike Rhodes, who goes 129-61 before moving up. To Ryan Odom, who goes 52-21 before moving up to Virginia. And now Phil Martelli, who obviously this is year one, coming over from Bryant after making a tournament appearance last year, but like you just talked about, that's looking on it's on its way to being a slam dunk hire once again. So, you want to know where it all starts, and obviously, like I said, it's different circumstances because those guys have had success and moved up. It's not just moving on from a coach, but that's how you become the class of the A-10, is you identify the right guy, the right leader to come in and build your program back up. And like we said, after Shaka, VCU has all the momentum in the world coming off of a Final Four. What do? They go out and they find Will Wade, and they hit a home run there, and they continue that momentum. Right now, we're just kind of stalled. You make the Final Four, you make the Sweet 16, you have all that momentum, and it's something that we've talked about on previous episodes. Eventually, that momentum dies. Eventually, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids don't give a fuck that you went to a Final Four 10 years ago. That's where we're at. To me, becoming that powerhouse, becoming even a consistent presence at the top of the A-10 kind of hangs in the balance this year. Like I said, it's not a total one-to-one comparison because VCU has had the success that coaches are moving up, but it's just they continuously make the right hire, which is why I went so back and forth on moving on from Drew, just because of how important that hire is going to be. But yeah, I guess maybe that's my way just to not talk about the game because I'm taking alt line VCU minus 24.5. But and And I'm taking all of their three-point shooters over however many made threes. But yeah, that's just, it goes back to everything that we've been talking about. This is the class of the A10, and right now you're fighting to stay out of the pillow fights, which I think is a lost cause at this point. Like I said, I got VCU by 25 or more.
Yep, I also have VCU by 25 or more, so I think it could get ugly here. I think it will get ugly here. VCU and Loyola, two teams that ESPN figured, hey, Friday night, I think that'd be a great game for a Friday night A10 game in prime time. And Loyola,
two of the
this is
preseason
their
top fives.
Yeah, Loyola, this will be their second one on ESPN2 on Friday night, and I believe they have a game against St. Louis down the road that's also on Friday night. So ESPN can't be too happy with this either, because this game is probably going to get out of hand quickly. I hope it doesn't, but I don't know what else to say other than I think we lose this game by, again, I'm right with you, 25 plus points. I think it's going to be ugly. I hope it's not. I hope we come ready to play. I hope we come ready to fight. But even if we do, the talent just isn't there. So there's really nothing you can do aside from give it your all and give 110%. But even that, if VCU plays a C-plus game, they're going to win this game by double figures.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it now at the standings in the A10. You and LaSalle are the two teams that don't have double-digit wins this year. That's it. End of list in the entire conference. It's just not good. And to your point about, I'm sure ESPN isn't super happy what they're scheduling. Dayton and St. Louis play tomorrow at 8 over on CBS Sports.
Yep.
So I can't imagine anybody outside of VCU and Loyola fans that are going to be tuning in to this one, because with a spread that big and talent discrepancy, a team discrepancy this high, I can't imagine why anyone would want to tune into this one when you have two of the better teams in the conference. Jeez, wow, I just pulled up that game, an 11.5-point spread in favor of the Billikens. I know that we talked about how Dayton actually sucks, but that kind of surprised me that it's that high. Tickets are a cool $160 to get in.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. We've also got, obviously not an A10 game, but Michigan going to Michigan State, East Lansing, 3 versus 7. That should be a fun one. So luckily I've got 3 TVs, so I can watch all of them.
I'll be at work, but I have the Michael Scott Plasma, and then I have my laptop and iPad. So we'll be well equipped to watch some college hoops on a Friday night. So yeah, I think we both have them getting blown out by VCU. We're also going to cover this LaSalle game. The only other team, like I said, that is yet to hit double-digit wins in the A10. That one is on Tuesday at 7 o'clock at Gentile. What do you have on the Explorers?
If Loyola is going to win another game, I think it's either this one or it's when we play Fordham. So this is a big opportunity, especially at home, to hopefully get another win in the win column. LaSalle has a game against St. Joe's on Saturday afternoon before our game on Tuesday night. They are currently 7-14, 3-5 in A10 play. They are 234th in the net, which is second to last in the conference, only ahead of us. Their 200 in KenPom offensive rating on KenPom is 232nd. Defensive rating is 200. And Jaden Marshall leads the team with 13.3 points per game. Jerome Brewer Jr., he's the only other player on the team to be averaging double figures with 12. This is one of the worst offenses in the entire country. They average a measly 66.2 points per game. That is 305th in the nation, and that is the worst mark in the Atlantic 10. They do play fairly solid defense, and I would imagine they're going to try and get us into the mud. They're going to try and turn this into a rock fight, because their pace of play is also way towards the bottom. They're 330th in that category. So I think they'll try and limit our offensive possessions here. Again, turn it into a rock fight. It's a deep rotation that sees 13 players average double-digit minutes per game. 9 of those players average at least 19.8 minutes per game. So we'll see a lot of switches out there. A lot of different guys are going to get some minutes for the Explorers. But again, if you're gonna win one of these games here down the stretch in the second half of A10 play, this is certainly one where I think you'd have your best chance.
Yeah, and you said it there. They're 234th in the net, which is second to last in the conference, and that is a whopping 100 spots higher than us. 101 spots higher than us in the net. Just
terrible.
In an absolute abomination of a season. This one's going to be a rock fight, and in pulling up the stats that I was flipping through some of these tabs I had open here to find our notes again, and I stumbled back upon the 3-point percentage made. This St. Joe's team, that would go on to hit 42% of their threes ranks 353rd in three-point percentage in the country, 29.4%. And they shoot 42% against you, just to further cement just how terrible this season has gone. I think this is a team where maybe, we were expecting this team to be a high-flying offense, a team that was going to try and pick up the pace. It was something that we talked about in the season preview, that it was kind of different from the style of play that we had come to know from Loyola teams. I think this is maybe a team that you can try to start to speed up a little bit. I mean, obviously, if you're turning the ball over a million times like they have been, it's just not something that is going to be a recipe of success for you. But I think this is one where if you try to make them score with you, which again has been a major problem for this team because they haven't been able to score on anyone, this is a game that you can win. But if you don't, it's like you said, we're going to be looking at that game against Fordham as potentially the last chance to get another win on the entire season.
Yep. Like you said, you got to speed them up, try and get them out of their comfort zone, got to force some turnovers. Hopefully they can make some threes. And if they can do that, they very well could win this game. I'm just not going to, they've looked so bad, I just can't pick them. So I think LaSalle is going to win a very close, low-scoring game in this one on Tuesday night. And I think we're going to lose our 10th in a row, fall to 1-10 in conference play. But again, if they do some of the things that we've said here, and they do play at a faster pace, and they can be efficient on the offensive end of the floor, I think they'll win. I just don't think they're going to be able to do that. So that's why I'm picking them to lose here.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. I think we're both on the same page. We've said it multiple times on this episode that we don't have them winning another game for the rest of the season. I think the odds would say that they're going to, but I mean, we did the exercise on the last episode, so we don't have to do it again. But just looking at the rest of the schedule here, you got VCU tomorrow night, then LaSalle on Tuesday, and then after that you play at Davidson, at home against St. Louis, at Fordham, at St. Joe's, at home against Richmond, at St. Louis, and then at home against George Washington. Just not a lot of opportunities to get a win when you're talking about a team that is as awful as this one.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself. They stink, and I think they could win this game, like I said, against LaSalle. And then that game, it's going to the Bronx, though, against Fordham. That would be a winnable game. But other than that, I mean, St. Louis is one of the best teams in the entire country, not just in the A10. St. Joe's obviously just beat our butt on Tuesday night, and that's going to St. Joe's. Richmond is having a very nice year. Davidson beat us handily when they came to us, and now we got to go to North Carolina and play them. Not a lot of opportunity left, so we'll see what we can do Tuesday night and hopefully end this losing streak and not let it get to double digits.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. We aren't very confident in that. I certainly don't think it's going to happen tomorrow night. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're still sticking with us through this hellhole of a season, then we greatly appreciate you. Again, thank you for that. We're just as invested in this team as you all are. Like I said on the last episode, if you're still listening, then you're very invested in this team, in this program, and in this school, which is something that I don't think has wavered through any of this awful season. We on Loyola Twitter have all been in this together. We've all been tweeting through the pain. Some of us have been drinking through the pain on the red line. Back and forth until a 18-pack of Mick Ultras was deleted. So, like I said, thank you all to all of you, and we'll be sticking with you for the next 2 months of this season and into the pillow fights. And then obviously, if you're going to be watching the tournament, we're going to have coverage of that all the way throughout that as well. So thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to give us a follow on all the socials. You can find me at @co_Zach on Twitter, George at @GGGabra. Podcast at Ramble On Pod. Be sure to follow us on TikTok at Ramble On Pod with an underscore. George is at GGG Sports. He's breaking down every big game of the day in college hoops and breaking down college football news as it's coming in. I'm at @co_Zach, talking Red Sox, talking MLB, anything you might want to follow on that front. So once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.